Hey, what is up everyone? Today I'm taking a look at something I've meant to look at for a long time. This right here is the high-grade Mobile Armor Hashmal from Iron Blooded Orphans. So man, for me this right here is definitely a blast from the past. Actually seeing the date on this is blowing my mind. 2016? I guess it makes sense, but it feels like well, not that long ago. It's odd to me that I never actually picked this up when it came out. I'm not sure why I didn't. I was absolutely enamored with the high-grade Iron Blooded Orphans line when it was coming out. Still am. So to have missed on this just seems really odd. Maybe it was the odd design or something like that. I'm not sure, but you guys have asked for it quite a bit, so here it is. First off, I'm going to talk a little bit about the build. In typical high-grade Iron Blooded Orphans fashion, this is quite simple. There's a lot less inside of this box than I was expecting. This is almost the size of a Master Grade box, a biggish Master Grade box at that. The Hashmal itself is only made out of 7 runners. There is an 8th one in here which is a full stand, and the build time on this is quite quick. I panel lined the entire thing mainly because it looked like this was going to be fairly plain if I did not. That was just going to be big old empty spaces of plastic. The color accuracy is very typical again of Iron Blooded Orphans. It's not awful, but at the same time it could be a lot better. We do get a lot of stickers in here, which is mainly the brown and the kind of pale red on this. These are, well, look quite difficult to match without mixing paint, so I just went with the panel lining. The build here is incredibly simple, no issue whatsoever, and we also get one Pluma in here as well, which has articulation and a whole bunch of parts as well. It does have some color and accuracy issues, but it is cool that we get one included. We also get a sword in here for using with the Barbatos Lupus, but I guess we'll see all that, well, right now. So here is the high-grade Iron Blooded Orphans Hashmal with absolutely everything that it comes with. So that of course is the mobile armor itself. We get one Pluma, a big ol' energy blast, 2 kinetic energy shot launcher bullets, and what the manual refers to as a new type of sword for Barbatos Lupus. But anyway, let's check out the Hashmal first. But before we do that, this video was sponsored once again by those snack masters over at Bokksu, a monthly snack box subscription service that delivers original assortments of premium Japanese snacks and tea pairings. Bokksu has been sponsoring Mecha Gaikotsu for a while now, delivering only the finest Japanese snacks that really hit me in the Japan nostalgia. So I'm going to be counting down my top 10 snacks that were delivered right to my door, straight from Japan. With Bokksu, every month you'll get a different box with a different theme with different snacks. So I had a lot to choose from. At 10, a red bean donut with an iconic Japanese taste. 9, pure grape jellies, a perfect blend of sweet and sour. 8, takoyaki corn puffs. I raided convenience stores for these in Japan regularly. 7, matcha baumkuchen, a decadent ring cake. 6, candied yuzu peel, one of my favorite Japanese flavors. 5, apple caramel cookie, honestly the best cookie I've ever tasted. 4, Shikuasa crackers, citrus, sharp and savory, and what a combination. 3, Hachimitsu Kinako puffs. If you've never tasted Kinako, you're missing out. It's like powdered peanut butter, but better. 2, Sudachi seaweed tempura, battered fried seaweed with a punch of sour citrus. 1, Tokyo pudding a la mode sandwich cookie, the most decadent, complex flavor in a cookie I have ever tasted, and the mix of crunchy and creamy blew my mind. Bokksu honors Japanese heritage by working with 100-plus-year-old family snack makers to deliver authentic Japanese exclusive snacks right to your door. First-time customers will receive this Seasons of Japan box that takes you through Japan's 4 distinct seasons while taking you through an Epicurean journey across Japan. Use my code MECHA10 and that link down there in the description to get 10% off your own authentic Japanese snack box subscription from Bokksu. So jumping right on into those aesthetics, and this thing without a doubt is one unique looking Gunpla kit. I don't think there's really anything like this. Sure, the shoulders might resemble something like the Cubile, something like that, but besides that, this is odd to say the least. According to the instructions, it is meant to be based somewhat on a bird, and I'm assuming with those claws, a bird of prey. But honestly, it does look pretty cool. So before I mention anything further about this, I will mention one thing. Is it wrong of me to say I thought it would be bigger? You know, when I think mobile armor, I think quite large, but this, you know, I feel the anime made it look a little larger than it is right here. But still, that's just a personal complaint. So compared to the line art, There is some color inaccuracies, as you'd expect from all those stickers that are in here. The main ones being all of the brownish gray little parts that are on a lot of the kind of venting and armor segments and whatnot. They're not really the worst, honestly. The biggest area of color inaccuracy is actually underneath those red plates up on the shoulders, but we'll talk about that a little bit in a while. We also do have some obvious hollow parts underneath the big old, I guess, shoulder armor, as well as on the claws to a degree, so it is definitely a unique kit, but there is a lot of issues that it does have aesthetically that you'd have to deal with yourself if you want it to be perfect. So like I've mentioned already, there is a ton of stickers in here, too much to really go through. As for what really stands out to me as being color inaccurate, that is off the color sheet, is the inside of the claws. Those are meant to be grey. There's a lot of venting that's meant to be grey. The top of what I can only call a head is meant to be grey. But the biggest offender of all is this section in here underneath the red. Now that whole area is meant to just be in grey, but it is not in this kit. If you have it in its normal form like this right here, then that's not really a big deal because you can't see it. But you'll always know that it's there. On top of that, there are a few other aesthetic issues which may or may not bother you. There are a lot of hollow parts here and there, especially underneath the wings and inside of the claws. Besides that, we do have a lot of seam lines. Once again, this is just because the armors are all just big, solid pieces in general. So you've got some of those on the arm segments and a lot along the top of the shoulders. These are relatively simple to fix, the seam lines that is, but if you're just building this out of box, just keep that in mind. But besides that, for the most part, this does look great. We've got a lot of surface detailing, which means a lot of panel lines to panel line up if you want to. Besides the couple of issues we've seen with color separation, the color separation is decent enough. And honestly, there is nothing out there that looks quite like the Hashmal. So as usual, jumping right back to the beginning of the review, to the overview of everything that comes in here. I did mention that it comes with a stand. It does, you can see it right there. Now let's check out everything else. So the first of the accessories we have in here has been attached the entire time. That of course is the super hard wire blade. Color accuracy wise, for the most part, this is correct. The only thing we're really missing is a bit of red on these segments. There's the picture from the manual so you can see, but besides that, it looks pretty good. This is attached by a big hefty wire, and I will mention the wire is fine, will hold everything up. It just tends to kind of pop out every now and then, so you may want to permanently attach it into the back of the head and onto the blade if you don't want it to drive you a little bit crazy. So I'm actually, after shoving it a little harder in here and a little harder into the back of the head, now I'm having no issues whatsoever. So yeah, out of box, this is pretty awesome. Next up in here, we've got a pair of kinetic shot launcher bullets. So these are almost like little missiles or spears. That is what it looks like in the hand of the Barbatos, and these just insert into a 3mm peg in the middle of the claws of the Hashmal right here. Just open them up, we've got that hole, pop it in, and that is what it looks like equipped. So next up in here we have a full Pluma. Now this is something I totally did not know about this kit. I guess I just never noticed that one of these come included in the box. There is a sold separately kit of premium Bandai Plumas, which I assume are exactly the same as this, but just so you can have, well, a whole bunch of them as opposed to just the one. This right here is all made of just the one color of plastic, which is this purple. So that means there are quite a few color inaccuracies all around the place. That would be on the thrusters, the rear segment here, there's a little hatch up top, the drill round back. All of these should have various different colors and some other parts as well. So if you do want this to be color accurate, there's a lot of painting to be done. We have a sticker for the eye up front, this is the only one that I used. And we also have some really ridiculous hollow parts on the insides of its arms. Now this, woo, I haven't seen something like this in a while. The whole interior aspect of both of its arms are hollow, like what you're seeing right now. The Pluma also has some articulation. We've got an opening hatch up top, ball joints attaching the arms to the body, an elbow joint that moves down and up like so, and what can only be described as a kind of waist joint that allows it to tilt forward and back like this on the little stand that is included. So although the color accuracy on this is not the greatest, it's still an awesome little inclusion, and I love this thing right here. The Hashmal right here is a bunch of what I can only describe as kind of parts forming parts. The first of which is this little bit of armor on the back of the claw. You can pop that off, then reattach it on a little peg up further, and you get it disjointed like this for when it's ready to fire the kinetic energy shot launcher. The next set of moving hatches we have then are up on the shoulders. That is this red segment. It detaches like so and then reattaches on a little further up to expose the energy supply system for the plumas. Now there are 4 of these, that is 2 on the front and 2 around back. So the next set of moving armor parts are up on the head for using with that big old beam. You just remove the top set of armor parts like this, the lower jaw segment like so, then you tilt this little segment inside of the head. Pop the jaw back onto that moving little tilty section, move the parts on the side of the head up 1 peg like so, and then reattach that on. Once you've got this all ready, you can just slide that big old, fairly vigorous beam thingamajig into its mouth, or I think it's a mouth, beak, like this. And there we go, that does look pretty kick-ass right there. That is a nice beam effect. Next up in here we've got this sword, which of course is not for using with the Hashmal, it's for using with Barbatos Lupus. So it actually says in the instructions that this is called new type of sword for Barbatos Lupus, so that's quite imaginative. Apparently it is forged from the alloy that is used to make Gundam frames, so it can cut through a mobile suit if wielded by the right person. To attach this into the hand, it's the usual routine. Pop off the back of the hand, stick it in like so, and then pop the back of the hand on like that. So now moving on to the articulation, and as for the general solidness of the build right here, it does wiggle a bit on the base, but that's not that unusual. Besides that, it's okay. Every now and then I do lose the shoulders because they can fall forward very easily, but besides that, it's holding up okay. As for the head here, we've got a ball joint up top, then rotation on a peg, followed by a little bit of pivot down and up. Around on the back of the head, we've got this segment here which can move up and down on a hinge, and this is strong enough to support the wire and the blade round back, which is impressive. At the shoulder, the whole arm and shoulder together can rotate on its axis like so, but we do not have the full 360 spin. The shoulder itself can move a little bit separately to the arm. Once again, that is rotation. There is the arm all the way up and down again, which is pretty good considering. Also up at the shoulders, we're able to rotate them up into the air like this, which separates them from the brown segments underneath, which is pretty cool. And actually this is so large I do have to turn it to the side slightly so you can see it all. Moving down to the claw now, this has quite a bit of articulation to it. There is nothing at the wrist, so this cannot rotate or pivot or anything like that at this point. At what you could almost call a thumb, we've got tilt here at the claw segment, and closer to the actual wrist, we've got a rotation forward and back. Up at the, what you would call fingers, I guess, these have a ball joint closer to the hand so they can move and spread and do quite a bit, and the joint attaching the claw segment is the same as what we would have seen before, so these are quite dynamic and can move quite a bit. Besides that, I don't think there's really anything else going on here. You can move these segments on what I can only call the body of the mobile armor, and of course you can bend the wire on the tail, so the vast majority of the movement you'll be getting out of this is by posing the arms and the head. And I guess, what else do you expect from a mobile armor? So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and to me this right here is silver tier. It does the essentials a high grade should do, and not really a whole lot more, and doesn't really drop the ball on anything in particular. This is a very unique kit, based on a very unique mobile armor design. This is all arms, shoulders, and head, and not really a whole lot else. We do get a nice beam effect in here. The fact that there is a full pluma in here is impressive as well, and what can I say? This has been out for some time and might be hard to get right now. If you're wondering, I did get mine through Buy-in. I will throw a link down there in the description. But at the end of the day, should you rush out and get one of these? Well, that depends. Do you love Iron-Blooded Orphans, love the high-grade line, and just need to add this to your collection? Then totally. If you're just somewhat curious, I would say it might be a little bit of a pass, especially at today's prices. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every one of you guys who watches my videos, including those of you who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including Craig Jerry, Van Fawn, Sean T, Mr. Winter, Lauren C. Hack, Joseph Kuklok, Global Frequency Studios, Forsetti, Caleb Engelhart, and Bakito Official.